Hello everyone and welcome back to this week's video. If you're new here, I'm Serenity and I'm so happy to have you here. In today's video, we're continuing with our Kitchen Diaries and I'm taking you along this week for some Valentine's Day themed sweets. The recipes I'll be sharing this week range from super simple, quick treats to a few that will require a little more time and effort, but all of these are totally worth it. I also want to mention some of these recipes are my first time making them, so whether it's your first time trying these recipes or not, this is a safe space to learn and try new things together. With that being said, let's start off with our first treat of the week, and it is Pop-Tarts. I know you're probably thinking, wait, from scratch? That sounds way too complicated, but trust me, this recipe is so much easier than you think, and honestly, way more delicious than store-bought. And you won't believe how simple it is to make your own homemade Pop-Tarts. For this recipe, you'll need flour, sugar, cinnamon, salt, unsalted butter, water, honey, strawberry or any fruit you like, eggs, powdered sugar, vanilla, milk, and corn syrup. Alright, let's get started. First, add your flour, sugar, cinnamon, and salt into a bowl, and then add your butter to the dry ingredients. If you've got a food processor, this next step is going to be a breeze, but since I don't, I'm going to do it by hand. Cut the butter into your dry ingredients until it resembles a sand texture. Once you've got the texture, add your water and honey and mix it all together until it forms a dough. Now that your dough has come together, flatten it a bit, wrap it in plastic wrap, and then pop it in the fridge for 30 minutes to an hour. While the dough is chilling, let's make our strawberry filling. I used 350 grams of strawberry. Honestly, you don't need that much. I wanted a little extra. I also added a teaspoon of lemon and honey, brought it to a boil, and then I took it off the heat. Some of the strawberries were still pretty big, so I ended up using the whisk here to kind of break the strawberries down. Once your dough is chilled, roll it out on a floured surface. I eyeballed the thickness to my preference, but feel free to do it however you like. I am also going to be using a heart-shaped cookie cutter to keep on with the Valentine's theme of this video, but feel free to do it how thick you like and what shape you want. After you've cut out your top and bottom pieces, we're going to flatten the middle part just a little bit so that it can hold the filling better. And then to seal the top and bottom pieces together, we're going to put some water around the edges. Since we flattened the bottom piece just a little bit, we're gonna have to adjust the top piece to fit perfectly on there, and then we are going to just seal the edges by crimping with a fork. To avoid your filling oozing out from the sides, we're just going to poke some holes at the top, and we're going to brush an egg wash and bake at 375 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes or until they're golden brown and crispy. Once your Pop-Tarts have fully cooled down, it is time to glaze them. For the glaze, I used powdered sugar, vanilla extract, milk, and corn syrup. I always start with a little bit of each and then add more as needed until I get the right consistency. You want it to be smooth, not too thick or too runny. To make your icing look a little bit more smooth, I definitely recommend using a toothpick to kind of go back and fix up areas and take out air bubbles. Here are the final Pop-Tarts. This is my first time making the Pop-Tarts from scratch, and I can tell you it definitely won't be the last. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of store-bought Pop-Tarts, but these are so delicious, and in my opinion, they taste so much better. Moving on to our second sweet of the week is a twist on a classic, brown butter Rice Krispies, and my cousin first introduced them to me and now I'm completely hooked. They are definitely one of my favorites. For this recipe, you'll need 2 sticks of butter, a box of Rice Krispie, a bag of mini marshmallow, and vanilla extract, and of course, feel free to switch things up to your liking. We're going to start by browning your butter. Take it slow so the butter doesn't burn. And once your butter is ready, add a teaspoon of vanilla and your mini marshmallows and stir until the marshmallows have melted, and then toss in your Rice Krispies. Mix everything together and then transfer it to a tray to cool. To finish, I'm adding some cute sprinkles, and since this week is all about Valentine's Day, I'm cutting mine into hearts. I probably should have made 2 batches, but honestly, I love a chunky Rice Krispie bar, and I let the Rice Krispie cool a little bit longer than I should have, so it was a bit tricky getting the cookie cutter through, but we made it work and got the job done. These always come out so yummy, and they will always be one of my top favorites. Next up, we're making another classic, brownies, and I'll be honest, I've never made brownies from scratch before. It feels kind of unreal to say, especially since I love making things from scratch, but today we're going to conquer it together. I don't know about you, but I'm all about a fudgy, chewy brownie, and the recipe I found gives you the best of both worlds. For this recipe, you'll need butter, semi-sweet chocolate chips, eggs, sugar, instant coffee, olive oil or vegetable oil, vanilla extract, flour, unsweetened cocoa powder, baking powder, and salt. First, we're gonna melt our butter and chocolate chips together, and then once everything has melted, you can set it aside to cool. In a bowl, whisk together your eggs, sugar, instant coffee, oil, and vanilla extract. In a separate bowl, mix your flour, cocoa powder, baking powder, and salt. Once your chocolate has cooled down, you can combine it with your wet ingredients. Next, you can add your dry ingredients to your wet ingredients and gently fold them together. Just be careful not to overmix. Once you combine all your ingredients, you can transfer it to a pan. The recipe calls for a 9x9 pan, but I don't have one, so I'm using a 10x6 pan. Just keep in mind that if you change the pan size, you may need to adjust the baking time. We're going to bake at 350 for 35 to 40 minutes, and again, depending on the size of your pan, you may need to adjust that time. And once they're done, let them cool before cutting them into squares. And to finish, I'm topping mine with a light dusting of powdered sugar. I really enjoyed these brownies and I cannot wait to make them again. For our next sweet, we've got the most time-consuming one, but trust me, it's totally worth it. We're making bow cinnamon buns. This was my first time making them, and it was so much fun. They are just so girly and cute. I absolutely love them. For this recipe, you'll need flour, milk, eggs, sugar, butter, dry yeast, salt, brown sugar, and cinnamon. We're going to start by combining flour, milk, 1 egg, sugar, melted butter, dry yeast, and salt in a bowl. Once everything has come together, you can knead your dough for 5 minutes and then let your dough proof for an hour or until it has doubled in size. Once your dough has proofed, divide it into 12 pieces. You don't have to weigh them out, but I like to be exact so they all come out looking uniform. Moving on to the fun part, we are going to shape the dough. We're first going to roll it into a circle and spread on your filling. For the filling, I did softened butter, brown sugar, and cinnamon. And once you have your filling on top, you can fold over one side and make 2 slits in the middle like I'm doing here. Then take the ends of the dough and fold them towards the middle to create that bow shape. And finally, take that leftover middle part and wrap it around to complete the bow. I just want to say that I'm sorry this footage is not focused. I thought that it was, but I wanted to explain again what I'm doing here. So we're just going to roll the dough out in a circle and then spread your filling on top. Fold over one side and make 2 slits in the middle, and then take the ends of the dough and fold them towards the middle to create that bow shape, and then take that leftover middle part and wrap it around to complete the bow. When placing the bows on your baking tray, make sure to give them enough space as they will puff up, and to get the best bow-shaped cinnamon buns, spread out the ends of the bows before baking so they don't close up when they are in the oven. And then we're just going to let them proof for another 30 minutes, and once the 30 minutes is done, we can add the egg wash and bake at 350 for about 20 minutes. Lastly, dust them with a little bit of powdered sugar for that perfect finishing touch. These are so yummy, and honestly, the only thing I change next time is adding a bit more filling. Other than that, they are absolutely delicious and so cute. Our last and final sweet of the week is chocolate covered pretzels, and when I think about Valentine's Day, this little treat is one of the first things that come to mind. It's super simple, but honestly, it's just such a little piece of goodness. For this recipe, you'll need melting chocolate, pretzels, and sprinkles, which are optional but totally fun. Start by lining a baking sheet with parchment paper and laying your pretzels flat. For the chocolate, I microwaved it until I got the perfect consistency, and once the chocolate cooled down, I put it in a sandwich bag. This just helps make piping it onto the pretzels much easier. When piping the chocolate onto the pretzels, make sure the flat side is facing up so the pretzel stays steady. And I'm filling the open spaces and making a little heart design on the inside. And to finish it off, I'm topping them with a cute little heart sprinkle. Because I spent this whole week baking little cute Valentine's Day treats, I ended up giving some to Ben's coworkers, and the report came back that they absolutely loved everything I made, which makes me so happy. It is definitely one of my love languages. These came out so cute and yummy. I will be making them again, but we've come to the end of the video, and I hope you enjoyed all the sweets we made together this week. If you decide to make any of these, let me know how they turned out for you. But as always, I will catch you guys in the next vlog.